Hello, everybody. It's a lovely Sunday afternoon in Melbourne, and I decided to record this episode for you. I am feeling like it's the right time for me to be talking about these issues today, and hopefully, it will, come to you as help, support, like every episode. That's what I want anyway. But if you clicked on this episode in particular and you're feeling the job search blues, then this is for you. Like I said, I am recording this on a Sunday afternoon after watching the Formula One Grand Prix. The sun is shining through, and I have my whiteboard here to protect me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you may sometimes get some glare in the videos, and apologies for that. But if you're just listening to this as you walk your dog or cook or, drive back home, or I sometimes wonder what people do when they're listening to me. It's lovely to be here with you. I'm feeling very proud of Melbourne today because the Grand Prix is such a beautiful event, and it's so beautiful to see it on TV and see how beautiful Melbourne is. I've been here for over 20 years now. I love it. If you're watching, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's very interesting to see so many corporate brands promoting, and has always been the case, so many logos everywhere on helmets and caps and shirts and cars and all around the circuit. So it's such an interesting sport to watch, especially if you have worked in the corporate sector. You will recognize all of the brands everywhere. So that's kind of how I'm feeling today and what I've done. Talking about job hunting and job hunting blues is very dear to my heart. Something that I want to do more often. And I want you to feel like this is a safe space for us to give ourselves permission to feel human and talk about these issues. And also because it's just you and me. So, if you're taking baby steps in terms of sharing anxiety or how you're feeling, then I'm here. I feel you. And even though I may not have heard from you in particular, please know that I am often asking people to provide me feedback. I do a lot of surveying. If you follow me, if you have been on my newsletter, you probably see a lot of that happening. And collating all the data from recent surveys I've done earlier this year is what prompted me to record this episode today. Because job hunting can be really a roller coaster ride for all of us. It has highs and it has lows. It's a process that's filled with uncertainty and often with rejection. And rejection hits really hard, especially when we have our dreams and hopes in specific job opportunities. I have personally been in the situation that I'm about to describe to you, and I wonder if you've clicked today to listen to me because you've been there as well, or you're there right now. Do you know this feeling that you have when you've just crafted your resume, your cover letter, your job application is complete, you send it out, you think you did a great job, and crickets. Days go by, you press refresh on your email time and time again, and nothing. Or worse still, you do that great job of putting together your resume and your cover letter, spending maybe a weekend doing it or a late night, and hours later, you get a rejection email. I remember having that horrible feeling that lurks after this experience where you second guess yourself. Did I not get the brief right? Why didn't they like me? What was wrong with my application? You don't understand why, and it makes it harder to apply for the next job. And I get it because I've been there, and I now work with clients that have gone through that, and that's why they've reached out to me. So I know that feeling very well of checking your emails and not wanting to see the rejection email again. It feels like a little stab in the heart and it hurts. You start to think about applying for lesser jobs, jobs you don't really want, jobs on a lower pay scale, and still you don't get the interview or you don't get the job. So, what is wrong? Remember that feeling down during these times doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. You can turn this around. And statistically speaking, chances are you will turn this around. I'm not just saying this because I'm a nice person and I want you to feel good about yourself. I'm saying this because we have data on this that shows that chances are you will get a job. This episode is dedicated to job search blues. So let's address this step by step. We will explore strategies to uplift your mood, regain your confidence, and approach your job search with renewed energy. Whether you're listening to this podcast on your morning walk or commute or winding down, let me know. If you're on my newsletter subscribers list, just let me know what you do when you're listening to me. I don't think I've ever asked this question on survey, so I would really want to know. But as you listen to me, I really do invite you to open up your mind to these new perspectives, these new ideas. Maybe they're not new, maybe they're just sort of forgotten, and some practical tips that could be the game changer in your job search journey. Okay? So let's dive right in. Hi, I'm Renata Bernardi, and this is the Job Hunting Podcast, where I interview experts and professionals and discuss issues that are important for job hunters and those who are working to advance their careers. So make sure that you subscribe and follow, and let's dive right in. Okay, so the first topic. So I've done my preparation for this. I have my notes here in front of me. If you're watching this on YouTube, you may know that I'm trying to follow my notes and make sure that I don't waffle for too long. But first thing that I want to do is I want to define the job search blues. What is it? Let's start by understanding what it means to have those blues. To me, this term encapsulates a range of emotions. You might be frustrated, demotivated, anxious, and possibly with a sense of isolation. That's how I used to feel. And those are words that I get when I do qualitative research from listeners and prospect clients. It's that feeling of I've hit a wall. No matter how many applications I send, I don't get the response that I want. These emotions then flare up and they can stem from various aspects of the job hunt. The silence after an interview, the challenge of tailoring your resume for the I don't know how many times, or the pressure of needing to find a job sooner, 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 sooner. As time goes by, you get more anxious. So, in previous episodes, of course, we've discussed these topics and how to deal with the rejection and how to stay motivated. But today, we're going to acknowledge the job search blues. It is a thing. We know, we've experienced it, and you've clicked here for a reason. So, let's recognize these feelings as a first step to addressing them. And it's crucial to acknowledge that job hunting is not just a professional task that you need to do, it's also a personal journey, right? It's very personal to you. It's all about trying to, secure your next step, your salary, your career ambitions. And often it sort of is the time where we do the deepest of reflections about our careers and our personal aspirations and our fears as well. So then these feelings arise, and sometimes, we're super excited and optimistic, and sometimes we're not. The job market can be unpredictable. It's very competitive. We're going to talk more about that. And making the process is stressful. It takes time and it takes knowledge. Add to that the social pressures that we feel in terms of securing a job and personal expectations we set for ourselves. It's no wonder that job hunting can take a toll in our mental health. So, the first step was acknowledging that we will probably experience the job search blues. And the second thing that I want to acknowledge is that you're not alone in feeling this way. Many of our listeners have shared this experience with me time and time again. I have hundreds, I mean, like thousands really, of points of data, mostly captured from people that come to my free jobs search masterclasses that I do every year, people that are signing up to work with me right at the beginning, and they share these similar experience. And even the most successful professionals have faced their fair share of job search blues. So let's talk about how we can navigate these emotions and turn them into something positive. The second topic that I wanted to talk to you today is that we need to remember that job searching has its ups and downs, and it is part and parcel with having a corporate career, right? We see illustrations about corporate career not being linear, not being just going from one job to another great job to another great job. We see those squiggly lines that show, look, sometimes it's going to go down, sometimes it's going to go up. But then it happens to us and we think it's the end of the world. All right. So it is what it is. If you want to finish university or start your professional life in your early 20s and you're going to be working for 4 decades, most likely, it's not all going to be, rainbows and flowers and roses. From time to time, things are going to get difficult and challenging and ugly. So I hope that over the years on this podcast, we've heard incredible tales of resiliency and determination from our guests, not just from me. The guests are individuals just like you, navigating twists and turns in their careers just like you. 99% of them, if they're not in corporate right now, they have been. So they may have transitioned into, a portfolio career, or now they're recruiters, or now they are board members, or now they are coaches like me or other experts. But they come from that place of a lot of baggage and experience and wisdom and learnings along the way. So we have interviewed so many amazing people that shared with us, with me, and with you, their career journeys, and they were less than perfect. So I hope you can tell that I've chosen those people for a reason, and I hope that they inspire you. So these stories that we have shared with the previous episodes of the Job Hunting podcast have never been just about success. They were about the journey, they were about the ups and downs and the learnings and the personal growth. So, hearing how others have overcome similar challenges, I find it incredibly motivating. It reminds us that the path to success is not a straight line and that perseverance is key. That learning, that continuous learning is really important. If you haven't had the chance, if you've just bumped into this podcast, you just found it, and I know that more of you are finding us because I get the stats and we're growing like crazy, especially on Spotify. Hello, Spotify. If you found this wherever you are, on whichever platform you are, thank you. We have more episodes. This is episode 232, I believe. Go check out, these ones that I'm talking about with guests. Go through our catalog, click on them, and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Sign up for our newsletter, send me a message, let me know what you think. I want to highlight the importance of this community. To me, it's amazing because when I hear feedback and I get feedback every day, and it just makes me so happy. You have no idea what it means to me to read a new review on Apple Podcasts, or receive a message saying, I'm listening to your podcast, it's really inspiring, it helped me get a job. It really makes a difference, and it makes this episodes better, and it's informed by the feedback that I get, good or bad, by the way. And this podcast has become a platform and a support mechanism for a lot of people. And I hear you. So thank you for letting me know. Many of you have reached out with your stories via, like I said, messages and emails and words of encouragement for other job seekers and to me personally. So thank you. I really appreciate. If you're going through the job search blues and you just found this, remember that the podcast is here for you. Follow us, like, share with other people that will benefit from it. That's how this podcast has grown, really. It's through word of mouth. And remember that it's okay to have off days. It's okay to ask for help, invest in yourself, take time to listen to the podcast, to listen to others, to open up with others, get help from mentors and from coaches. And when you do land your job, I encourage you to come back and share your story with me. Those stories are really beneficial for me as well. What is it that was the turning point for you? I do get a lot of messages like that. I haven't done a good job at updating the website to include those reviews, but you may have noticed that we have slowly been updating the look and feel of the Job Hunting Podcast website and how it looks on your podcast platform. And we are going to start adding those feedbacks very soon on our website. So thank you. Now, let's talk about the common reason why you don't move forward in your application, which may be causing the job search blues. I have found as a coach, so I'm a coach, I have career services, I have career courses, I work with groups, I work with individuals, I provide on demand courses. So you can go to my website, you can purchase a course, it's yours, right? You can access it. I designed them because I have all that information and experience on what I know works. What I have found working with people and getting feedback is that most of the time, people just forget that this is a competition and you only see yourself in the game. And the reality is, there are lots of great professionals looking for work. And I'm not saying this to diminish your experience. I want you to respect the process and understand from a balcony view the perspective of other players, the employer, the recruiter, the hiring manager, the HR partner, the talent acquisition professional, all the different touch points that you will have throughout the recruitment and selection process and why it takes so long. And, all of that is really important. But just as an example, let's say that you have a job that has 100 applicants, right? 70 of those 100 are not going to provide well written applications. They're probably not a good fit for the job. You were not in it. If you are a loyal podcast listener of the Job Hunting Podcast, I am very certain that you are in the top 30. Okay? But that is still 30 people for one job. And I want my private clients or my group coaching clients or the clients that sign up for my online courses to be in the top 5. And I want them to learn quickly how to get there, right? The last thing we do then is to understand how to be the best of the 5. And that can take a little bit of tweaking. That's kind of a kind of sophisticated fine tuning, you know? But if a client is converting to the top 5, I know we can work on it. And it's a matter of time, hopefully not too long before they get an offer or they get more than one offer. Because as you get better at job hunting, you actually improve so much that you get a couple of offers. I have a client. It's really interesting. I have two clients that started working with me at the same time, exactly same month, and it's hard to work at the end of the year, let me tell you, because of course, it's if you start in November and then December is slow in Australia. They are both in Australia, by the way. January in Australia is super slow as well. So it picks up in February. Now we're at the end of March and they both have great opportunities lined up. One of them has two. And that's common. And you think, oh, in the beginning, I used to be afraid of saying that because it seemed like I was overselling myself. But the reason is they now know what to do. So they do things better. So they get more opportunities. And that all makes sense. Okay, so there is a lot of competition, right? But on the other hand, in the countries I work with, and I don't know where you are, this podcast is listened to in a lot of countries. So I know that things could be different where you are. Unemployment rate could be much higher than it is here in Australia. But where my clients are located, and I'll tell you where they are, I have clients in Southeast Asia. I have clients in Japan. I have clients in the Middle East. I have clients all over Australia. I have clients all over the US. I have clients in Canada. I have clients in the UK. And I have clients in Europe. Okay. So I had clients in other places as well, South America, for example. And even then, in most of these, 100% of these places, the level of professionals that I work with, which are, experts in their fields, corporate, public, private sector, nonprofit sectors, middle management and above, we know that unemployment is rather low for them and that eventually you will get a job like everyone else. And they keep doing great in job interviews and they will get a job. Here in Australia, as we record this episode, the unemployment rate is below 4%. Now, that means not much at all to my clients because the range of professionals looking for work is too big. And I'm working with a niche. And if you're listening to me, you are within that niche. I'm pretty sure that that listen to this podcast are in my niche, right? But even then, at that top pyramid, the top half of the pyramid of a corporate structure, chances are you will find a job soon enough. And my job as a coach, as I see it, is to make that process less stressful, more fun. Yes, fun. If you have to go through it, you might as well have fun with it, right? Faster. That is definitely something that a coach can help you with. Like, my goal is to bring that forward. And it makes my clients also wiser in the long term and more self aware of their careers from the point that they engage with me onwards. Sometimes they haven't really done much prior to working with me, some do. But most of the time, people just neglected their career ambitions, their career plans, and then they start working with me. We work together for a few months and then from that point onwards, they're much more aware. I lead them to water so they can do the work themselves. Sometimes they book a consultation with me, maybe 2 years later, 3 years later, just to make sure they're on track. So, of course, I'd say that 80% of the time, this is my diagnosis. It could be that it's something else. Okay. We're focused on your needs, and you forget that you wanting a job is just one piece of the puzzle. Usually, that's my diagnosis. Most people have that sort of navel gazing situation when they go through job search, and that's normal. And we need to kind of expand their views and think more holistically about what's going on. What can you do to mitigate the job search blues, right? So, okay, so now you know why you might be feeling a bit down, a bit low, why things don't happen the way that you want it to. But now you also know that chances are you are going to get a job, right? So this section here is inspired to educate you and give you some strategy so that you can overcome the job search blues. I was inspired by a Harvard Business Review very short article. It wasn't about job search, but it mentioned three of the seven strategies that I'm going to discuss. So if you're interested in reading that IHBR article, I'll have a link in the show notes for you. I was going to focus only on the three that they mentioned, but then, of course, I couldn't stop thinking about other things. So here we go. The first thing is be realistic. Be realistic about your goals and your expectations as you job search. It's so easy to get caught up in the idea of landing the perfect job immediately. But these expectations will lead to disappointment. Okay, so instead, focus on achievable objectives, the next step ahead, improving things one step at a time. Improve your resume, then expand your professional network, then learn a new skill relevant to your field. So if you go through these goals one by one, they are more manageable. So break things down in sort of bite-sized small tasks that you can do within an hour or less. Because if you're working and job hunting at the same time, that's even more important for you, right? So to manage those realistic expectations of what you can achieve. But even if you're job hunting full time, you still need to manage the expectations. And I want you to have a sense of accomplishment along the way. So this is really important, and it's my first strategy for you. The second thing is creating a structured job search plan. This can be really incredibly helpful, and people don't do it. So I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. The first thing that I want you to do in terms of structuring your job search is allocating specific time for different job search activities. So researching companies that you like, applying for jobs, preparing for interviews, and so on. So those are different things that all are part of a job search strategy. This structure prevents the process from being overwhelming. It helps you maintain a work life balance. Another strategy is to be careful about spending hours on job boards. It can be very draining. And making sure that you get out of the house. Job networking is also about job search. In fact, I remember working with a client once and I said, tell me about your hobby. And he said, oh, I like sailing. And I'm like, well, go sailing, and just enjoy sailing. And then if you're chatting with people there, then tell them about your career aspirations, your expectations, because you never really know. Not everything needs to be about you going to corporate events and applying for jobs in a LinkedIn jobs platform. Okay, so networking is important. Volunteering is important. All of these activities, they break down the monotony that can lead to the job search blues. Also, number three, and part of number two in terms of structuring your job search, number three is job search when you're most energized, right? You can see how that's part of that idea of strategy and structure. So, job search includes creative work and also repetitive work. Like there's this business as usual. Check your emails, go through the list of the jobs you applied, go and see if there are new jobs you need to apply for, see if there are events for you to attend. And like those are sort of the repetitive tasks. Then there are creative tasks, update your about section on LinkedIn, do research, once you decide to apply for a company. So remember that these sort of tasks require different levels of energy from you and different parts of your brain for you to use, and spread them out during the day according to how you operate in terms of your body clock. So, for example, if you feel more refreshed and high energy in the morning, you may be more equipped to do the creative work in the morning. I personally, I wake up really high energy, but I like to get the business as usual part of my work out of the way first, because otherwise I can't relax to do creative work. So I end up doing creative work later in the day. Even things like recording this podcast, I could have done it in the morning. It would even make more sense logically, but I'm actually more relaxed and sort of warmed up by the end of the afternoon, which is the reason why I always have the sun shining through. And it spoils my lighting in my office. But, go to YouTube, find me there, give me a like if you can see me on YouTube. So, yeah, so those things are important. The other thing too is like what comes easy to you and what's harder for you to do. So, if it's easy for you to just go online and apply for a job, do that later. Do the hard thing first. Hard, early, easy, later. Also breaks down the pattern and avoid you feeling like you haven't done things at the end of the day because you procrastinated by only doing the easy things that come easily to you and not doing the hard things. It might make you feel the job search blues at the end of the day or at the end of the week because you didn't tackle those hard but important tasks that you had to do. And then number four, establish boundaries between professional and personal time. This is super important, especially if you are job hunting full time. So you need to help you and your family understand and respect the boundaries and make them very clear. So I want you to delineate your job search times and treat it as a job. If you are job hunting part time, so you have a full time job, for example, and job hunting is something you need to do as a project, as a side hustle, then again, you need to establish your hours, make sure that you try your best to stick to them. Establishing those boundaries between these different tasks and time job searching versus family, job searching versus working is so important. So many people are now working from home as well. Sort of the boundaries are not very clear. And I think that this is really important for you because your brain again will switch in and out. And I want you to get into flow, either with your family or with your actual job or with the job searches. So if you keep flicking on and off, you're never going to get into flow and go through, the deeper, more meaningful tasks that you need to do. One of the examples I thought that I could share with you, and this is such a common example, are my clients that love job applications but neglect networking and attending events. So they do job applications, they become better and better at it. We work together, they get really good at it, but then they never go out to network because that's harder for them to organize and attend events. And that doesn't help the job search. The career advancement is very holistic. So things need to coexist like different parts of the puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube almost, for things to work, especially in the long term. You really need to work on that. So, creating these guidelines for yourself, for your family, about when interruptions are allowed and when you're job searching is really important. And explaining that if you're home, it doesn't mean that you're available. If you're not employed, it doesn't mean that you're always available because you need to, dedicate to this important project in your life. Same if it's a side project, doesn't matter, right? You need to let them know that, yes, for the next few months, part of my weekend will be dedicated to looking for work, establish a time, that's the time. Time finishes, then you finish job searching and you go do something else, right? I think it needs to work both ways. Number 5, take time off from your job search. Oh, I can think of a specific client that is so high performance that I always have to let her know, like, the most important thing for you is to relax and take time off, not do too much, because otherwise you burn out halfway through a selection process and you don't have that high energy for a job interview. The process is usually longer than people imagine. If you have renovated a house or built a house, you probably know what I mean. We're not very good at forecasting how long things will take. And I'm not saying just in terms of time, but also in terms of energy levels, right? You really need to be mentally sharp for those interactions that matter during a job search. So mental health and well-being, they are pivotal for job search and that journey. It's essential to incorporate that self-care into your routine. And that is why we have so many episodes on this podcast dedicated to well being. There's even a category that you can search, especially if you go on my website, the Job Hunting Podcast website. There is a category well being because we think it's really important to talk about it. This means that you are not just job searching full on in front of a computer. You are also exercising, you're sleeping, you're pursuing not pursuing, pursuing a hobby, you're spending time with friends and family, you're reading books that are fiction, not just, books that are about work, you're watching great movies. Physical activities and being out in the physical world, you're right? Just being out in nature in particular are great ways to overcome job search blues and to relieve stress and improve your mood. So remember that. Use time outside of the job search to rest and recover instead of worrying. So sometimes I tell people, you need to get out of your desk and do other things, and then they will sit in front of their phone and eventually find LinkedIn and go through the job boards again and do that doom scrolling on your phone. Be careful because job searching on job boards is also addictive. It's very much like TikTok and Instagram. So, switch off. And especially if you receive bad news, right? So if you get a rejection email or you've just been laid off, remember that it is hard and it takes a bit of time for you to recover your energies and do the job search. So the job search is a complex project and it requires you to remember to work with your energies and understand when it's time to switch off from the job search and focus on getting better. Finding ways to switch gears and investing in activity that you enjoy after hours is going to really reduce stress in the job search. So, I guess of all of the things that I'm saying here, if you can do this, number five, if that's all you take with you, then I'm so happy. I will be happy. Some people that work with me think, especially in the beginning, when I say, okay, you signed up to work with me. That's great. Now let's organize your break. Yeah, like, what are you doing? Are you taking a break? It's important, right? Not because, like I said, I am a nice person and I want you to rest. No, I am being quite selfish. I know that if you take a break, your brain will switch gears from survival mode into sort of a more restful, creative mode. And that's what I need as a coach from you in order to optimize your job search. Number six, another aspect of self care is maintaining that positive mindset, right? So I'm kind of going into that direction with my last comment here. And I know that this is easier said than done when you don't have income, when you've been laid off. And I get it, I've been there. I promise you, I know, right? But we need to focus on what you have achieved so far in your career and all of the amazing things that you have already done. And we need to focus on what's yet to come. That hope, that faith, that confidence in yourself, in celebrating all your victories, even the small victories as you go through the recruitment process. Oh, okay, my job application was good enough for me to get a call. I know that I can do this again. Oh, okay, now not only did I get a call this time, I got an interview. Excellent, right? Imagine how many people did not get an interview. Okay, so I want you to celebrate every single small victory along the way. So, this is really important. People don't understand the importance of you overcoming this sort of conversion and these bottlenecks along the way. These moments of positivity that are part of your job search will have a cumulative effect on your overall outlook about the project. And next time you have to go through this again, because chances are you will, it's not going to be the first time that you don't have a job. Like I said, it's like 40 years or more of you working. So, we need to be realistic here. And I want next time for you to be stronger, more confident, more astute, more, okay, yep, I know how to handle this. I've done this before. I'll do this again. Okay. So that self care, that positive mindset is important. Number seven and last, don't hesitate to seek support. So many people don't want to talk that they're looking for work, don't want to say anything. I get this question all the time. I don't know what my salary range is. And I'm like, how come you don't know how you sound? It's because you never spoke to anyone about your career aspirations, about what you want to achieve. We need to stop being so cocooned about our career ambitions because then we have no intelligence to negotiate salary, to know our worth, to compare ourselves in the market and know what our competitive advantage are, the uniqueness of our experience is for a specific employer. I want you to start seeking out support from others. And I have done that mistake many times myself as well. But I actually have done it less than most of my clients. I see people waiting too long to seek help, right? And whether it's from your peers or mentors or a career coach like myself, having someone to talk to can make a really big difference. And we've heard that from various guests on this podcast. It's not the first time you're hearing me say this, that that support system is important. It gives you intelligence, not just about your career but theirs. Just listening to what people are doing, listening to what the trends are in the industry, in the sector, in the country, in the region, all of that will give you so many great ideas that will make your dreams and your aspirations more realistic, more doable. You will know what the steps are to go through your plans. And it's not just about getting advice, it's about having someone who listens and understands what you're going through as well. So, Taking into account all of what I just said, I just wanted to remind you about the support that I can provide you. A lot of that is free of service, like this podcast, many other episodes for you to listen to. So go through them. Go on my website, renatabernardi.com, and there you will find the optimized job search schedule and free masterclass. So this free resource, I've had it there for ages. I get feedback about it all the time. Now I know that the masterclass was recorded a few years ago. I will eventually update it, but frankly, it works. It still works as long as I still get weekly messages from people telling me that they love the optimized job search schedule. I think it's fine, you know? So I want you to download that resource. It's free. It is a very good tool for reducing your job search time and working towards your goal. It also has the masterclass, so you can go into more detail. So you download the workbook with the schedule, and then you can listen to the masterclass where I talk about the job search process and I help you understand how to choose and implement the most effective schedule for you, depending on your situation. So that's one thing that you can do. Then the second thing is if you want to spend a weekend or a few days, maybe a long weekend, 3 days, deep diving into how to look for work, then there's a program there called Reset Your Career, right? It is such a wonderful tool. People that do it come back to me and say, wow, eye opener, right? And that is something you can do over a weekend, and it will really help you. It has an action plan, it has resources, it has resume templates, cover letter templates, it's all there. If you're looking for a more in-depth program and you want, a few months to work on your career plans, like I actually don't even know what I want, Renata. I don't know what I want to do. Then it's the Job Hunting Made Simple program. That's for you. Okay. 7 modules. I designed it so that you can go through the modules during 7 weeks. And this program covers a range of topics such as personal branding, how to use LinkedIn effectively, understand deep down how recruitment and selection works, and most importantly, really understanding how you work and doing that career planning and design for the long term, not just transactionally. Then, if you're seeking personal guidance, you can book a consultation with me, or you can work with me as a private coach for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So, you can find information about all of the above, all of the things I've discussed on my website, renatabernardi.com. There's a link to it in the show notes, like always. And then there's the newsletter, right? So if you're not signed up for my weekly newsletter, why not? It comes out every Tuesday. It has the new episode of the podcast. I also write, on topics that are current, that are in my mind, that I'm discussing with clients or recruiters that I think you should know. It's once a week. It keeps you accountable. Just, oh, here it is. Renata's email is here and I haven't done anything about it. Like, I want that. I want that little bit of pressure for you to help you achieve your goals. As we wrap up this episode, let's recap the most important things we've learned today. Setting realistic goals and expectations for yourself, structuring your job search, diversifying your activities, having self care, a positive mindset, seeking support. All of these things are crucial elements in navigating the emotional high and low of job searching, right? And avoiding the job search blues. Remember, it's like I said, it's about personal growth, it's about professional advancement. Each step you take is building your resiliency, it's expanding your skills, it's making you wiser, more aware, and it is bringing you closer to your goals. Please believe that. I want you to choose one of the strategies we discussed today, just one strategy, and implement it this week. Whether it's a small goal, attending a networking event, or taking an hour to yourself to relax and rejuvenate, do your hobby or talk to your friends and family about your career, take that one step. And I would love to hear about it. So please come back to me, send me a private message in one of my social platforms, reply back to the newsletter if you have subscribed, and tell me what happened. Don't forget to follow this podcast. If you can give it a like if you're on YouTube, or if you can write a review about it, share it with your friends. I would really, really appreciate it, because that's how we grow this little podcast that is, being now watched in so many different countries by so many professionals. It warms my heart. I will have links below to the Harvard Business Review little article that I mentioned before, and to 2 or more other episodes that you can listen to that are related to job search blues, that could help you overcome it and feel better about it. Happy job search for you. Keep in touch, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.